Hello and welcome. My name is Amanda Lacey. This is an orientation presentation for EDTP 107 and EDTP 201 about student field experiences. These are the things that you need to know in order to successfully go into schools and complete your student observation hours. It is about the expectations that you will have in order to successfully go into these JCPS schools and really have a successful experience, both for you and for the students and teachers. For this course, there will be 2 different sessions that are about 5 weeks each, and for each session you are responsible for a certain number of hours. For EDTP 107, your placements will be 7 hours for each session. You'll also have 1 additional hour at the early learning campus, but that will be scheduled by a professor and not by me or whoever graduate assistant is making the placements for that session. This means that for EDTP 107, you will have a total field placement requirement of 15 hours. For EDTP 201, your placements will be 9 hours for each session. This means a total field placement requirement of 18 hours. Now, at the timing of this video in 2020, the spring semester, Session 1 is January 21st to February 28th, and Session 2 is March 9th through April 20th. This session date could vary depending on when you are seeing this video and when you are taking your classes, so please make sure you double check when those dates are for your particular situation. Please note that you are not permitted to complete any of your specified hours outside of the outlined session times, meaning if you are supposed to complete 7 hours in Session 1 and it is February 29th and you have completed only 6 hours, you cannot go back in on March 9th and work on your Session 1 hours as well as your Session 2 hours. You are 1 hour in deficit for Session 1, and you'll have to talk to your professor about what that means for your grade. We have worked out these schedules with the principals and teachers at these schools so that they are aware of when you will and will not be in the building, and are aware of how much time you will be spending in the building. And any sort of deviation from that plan could become a security issue. It could also interfere with the teacher's plans, and it's just not a very good look for U of L when we do not meet the expectations that we have outlined. So please make sure that you are completing your specified hours within the appropriate time frame. So preparing for placement, there are things to know. There are 4 different things that I mentioned in this PowerPoint. The summary of these 4 things are: get your paperwork done, contact your mentor teacher quickly and professionally, maintain a professional appearance and demeanor at your placement, and 4 is log everything. Before we get into the placements though, I just want to mention for your information that when I'm making these placements, I am placing students based off of the idea that you are starting at U of L's campus. And if you have any transportation issues, I need you to please contact me ASAP about them. The survey that you took at the beginning of the PowerPoint should have told me those things, but if anything comes up, please do let me know so that I can take that into account when placing you at your schools. It is very important to know that also that we have a very limited number of spaces at nearby schools. So please do not say you have transportation issues if you do not just be placed closer to U of L, because that's not fair to people who actually have issues and really have problems getting around. So the first step in everything that you need to know is getting the paperwork done. There are 2 separate things that you need to complete before you can even gain entrance into a JCPS school. The first thing is a university student background check. So this background check is done online, and there is a separate video for how to do that. There's also a child abuse and neglect, or a CAN check, that you need to complete, also online, and there's also a video for that. I can also show you how to do these in person if necessary. Both of these do cost money. Both of each are $10 each, so it's a total of $20 to get the paperwork done. And it's important to know, again, you cannot go into a JCPS school without getting these 2 things done. So make sure you make that a priority in your life before you get placed. And I will not give you the name of your placement teacher or location until I have confirmation that you have done both of these things. The second thing you need to do is contact your mentor teacher quickly and professionally. quickly and professionally. So once you receive your field placement, it is up to you to make first contact through email with your mentor teacher. If you do not hear back from them within 3 days, please make sure that you have the correct email address. And if they still haven't responded, why don't you just email them again just to remind them that you have contacted them. JCPS teachers are very busy. Teachers in general are very busy, and it's not very likely that you will get a response extremely quickly. They have a lot going on. Often things get put by the wayside and they forget to respond. It is not something, you should not be expecting a quick reply to your email. If you have problems getting in contact with your teacher, and by difficulties I mean you have emailed them, you have checked the email address is correct, you've emailed them 3 days later, and again they still haven't gotten a response, then you can contact me and we can try to find an alternative way to get in touch with them. The email addresses for the students, for the teachers, are often on the school's websites. If you lose your teacher's email for some reason, you can call the school if necessary. There are multiple ways to get this information. Please do not wait until the last moment to contact your teacher to get your hours in, because you do need to make sure that you can actually go and observe when you need to observe. If you wait till the last 2 weeks to start your observation hours and you find out that you can't contact your teacher, you're going to be in a bit of a pickle. So the earlier, the better. In your initial email to your mentor teacher, please make sure you include your availability. And you should ask your placement teacher when they have planning period and when the students are at lunch. You want to make sure that when you're there observing, you're observing them with students. For high schools especially, you should ask them where the best place to park is. There are schools such as Manual, which will tow your car if you park in the wrong area, so it's good to double check where that is. You should ask which entrance to use to check in at the main office. And you should copy your 107 or 201 instructor on your email to your mentor teacher so that they know that you have sent the email. And it's also important to remind you that this is a professional email. Do not start the email with, "Hey, my name is Emily. I'm going to be at your school. What's your information?" You should also make sure that the emails must be through your U of L account. Again, it's professional. Through your U of L account is your most professional email that you have at the moment. And everything should be done in a very professional way. So here's an example of a professional email. So, for example, Ms. Green, hello. My name is Dennis Salter, and I am a student at the University of Louisville. I have been assigned to your classroom to observe for my 201 class. The best days for me to observe are Mondays and Tuesdays in the morning before noon. Would those days work with your schedule? Of course, your schedule comes first, so I am always available to work around that. Also, when does your class have non-class activities such as lunch, recess, etc. on those days? So that we can take that into consideration when scheduling. In addition, do you know which entrance I should use and where it is best to park? Thank you for allowing me to observe your class, and I look forward to meeting you and your students. Best, Dennis Salter. This is a great example of a professional email. You have a greeting, you have closing, everything in here is written in a very polite and cordial tone. Number 3 thing to remember is maintain a professional appearance and demeanor at your placement. You should remember that you should approach these placements as a job interview, because you never know who you will meet or who may be on a hiring committee later in your professional career. You could come into contact with anyone in your building. It could be a building that you may find yourself wanting to work in when you graduate. For your first day, you should meet or email with your placement teacher to discuss their expectations of you once you are in their classroom as well. Maybe they will want you to sit in a certain corner of the class. Maybe they will want you to help pass out materials. You are not a student teacher, so they shouldn't be expecting you to help teach or anything like that, but you might want to see what they would like you to do in your classroom or how much they would like you to interact with the students when you are in their classroom. When you do arrive at the school and you go to the main office, please have your driver's license and your student ID so that they can double check to see that you are who you say you are. You should introduce yourself to the receptionist, letting them know your name and the name of your placement teacher. Just sign in and say, "Hi, I'm so-and-so from U of L. I'm here to observe this teacher. Can I please sign in?" You'll get a name badge and they will let you go find the teacher's classroom. Sometimes they will escort you. It is important to arrive early to the classroom and do not interrupt the class. If you interrupt the class, in any way when you're coming in. It could be a huge distraction to the teacher. He or she might not get the attention of the class back, and it can be a big deal. So do your best to arrive as early or as unnoticeable as possible. Some professionalism and expectations. Please show up on time on the days you committed to and stay the entire scheduled time. Please don't leave early from your placement, and please don't just ghost your placement teacher. That has happened before, where students just don't show up or show up once and never again. And that doesn't look good for the student, and that doesn't look good for U of L. And we want to maintain these great relationships that we have with the district and these district schools and these principals and teachers. So please make sure that you are following through on these plans that you make. Make sure you ask questions about building procedures that you don't know. Remember that you are a role model to these students. And check email regularly and respond promptly. And it's especially important when it comes to being a role model for these students that you're not texting when you are in the classroom. Even if you think you're being covert about it, you are not. The students always pick up on those things. And if you're taking notes in class, I highly recommend that you take notes with a pencil and paper or a pen and paper instead of a laptop. It's because the clicking of the laptop keys can be very distracting to students. And often they will want to see what's on your screen, they will want to peek, they'll ask maybe if you have games, and it can cause a disruption in the classroom. So I recommend pen and paper. The only exception I could think to this would be if the class was maybe one-to-one Chromebooks, but even then I find it much better for you and for the class if you have a pen and paper, because it's easier for you to walk around and look at what the students are working on when you do not have a laptop in front of your face. When it comes to dress, the general rule of thumb is business casual. So, shirt and slacks for women, skirts, dresses. Make sure nothing is too low cut. Just make sure you look generally nice and presentable. You don't want to be wearing jeans or t-shirts. Especially in these pictures, denim is extremely vilified. Even if the teachers at the school are dressing in a very casual way, you yourself as a visitor should be looking nice the entire time that you are there. So make sure that you are dressed to impress. When it comes to shoes especially, make sure that you are not wearing anything that is too overly casual. And a neat appearance is good. So sweatshirts, jeans, t-shirts, and sandals are not appropriate at all. You don't have to wear for men a suit and tie or anything, but you should look nice. And please, ripped jeans are not a good look on visiting teachers. The fourth thing to remember when you are doing your student placements is to log everything. Even though you're at the beginning of your teaching career, likely, some of you may be in your later stages of your classes at U of L, you will need these hours in order to become a student teacher at the end. You will need 200 field hours in order to move on to student teaching. And the hours you do for these classes do count towards those hours. The thing is, you need to have a record of these hours in order for them to count. So these field logs, which are available online at the OEDCP website or in my office, which is room 255, are what you need to fill out the entire time that you are on your placements. So it's going to be the date of the experience, where you are, the grade level of the students, the level. So I think the grade level, actually I think this is an old form. The grade level will be right here, the number of hours, and then describe the activity. Now, it says describe the activity B through H. At the bottom of the sheet, it's going to say B is something like observation, or D is interacting with parents. It is very important that you put the right letter and a description of what you did that day in this box. Even though it seems like it's a lot of extra work, when it comes to actually getting down to your student teaching, we do look at these forms and we do read the activities that you performed, because we want to make sure that you do have the requirements necessary to move on to the next stage of your teaching career. Therefore, the more details, the better. So please make sure you fill this out with as much detail as you can. And last but not least, you need the signature of your teacher. It says signature of university supervisor. That does not apply to you at these class levels. You just need to make sure you have the signature of the mentor teacher that you have assigned to you. So the state of Kentucky requirements, as I said, requires that you have placements in elementary, middle, and high schools. So these classes we will be placing you in elementary, middle, and high schools. You do not have a choice at which level you get placed in. However, I will place you where needed. So if you have previous experience in middle and high schools, I will place you in elementary school. Similarly, if you've only been in elementary schools, I will place you in middle and high schools, because you do need those required 200 hours in all 3 levels of the education system. Something I recommend highly when you are making your field logs is to download an app such as Cam Scanner. And if you want to download the app, here's the QR code right here. Apps such as Cam Scanners just allow you to have a digital record of your logs kept on your phone or a computer or wherever you want. So if you lose the paper copy, you still have your log. Because if you don't have your log, you don't have the evidence that those hours ever happened, you're going to have to do those hours again. And this does happen. You do not want to lose these papers. Now I have this page on here, but this doesn't really apply to you right now because you don't have to do them right now, but eventually you will have to upload your hours into a system called KFETS, or the Kentucky Field Experience Tracking System. And the logs that you create now are going to be what you have to upload later. Now, EDTP 107, EDTP 201 students can start to upload these hours now, but it is not necessary. You will have later classes that explain just exactly how to do that in a much clearer way. But you can find more information at the OEDCP website here. But you will, again, you will need these logs later on, so make sure that you're keeping them in a safe place. And this is just a look at what the KFETS website looks like. So it's showing you that what it is the digital copy of the papers. Now this doesn't mean that once you enter the hours in, you can throw away the papers either, because you will need to submit a paper version of everything you upload here to the College of Education. So you need to keep everything. So make sure you don't throw anything away. All right, so once you have all those things in mind, you are good to go. Now, if you need to contact anyone else, here are the people in the OEDCP office. The director is Cody Weinhorst, and you can email her right here. There is also Denise Townsend. She's the assessment specialist. She also can deal with some nitty-gritty problems when it comes to questions about hours. And then, of course, there's me, Amanda Lacey, the graduate assistant and self-styled placement coordinator. That's not really in my job title, but I'm putting it there just because I feel like it fits in this situation. And you can find me at any time in room 255 or email me at any time at amandalacey@louisville.edu. So to summarize the entire presentation, you need to 1, get your paperwork done. 2, contact your mentor teacher quickly and professionally. 3, maintain a professional appearance and demeanor at your placement. And 4, log everything. Here is again my contact information if you need to contact me for any reason at all. I hope this PowerPoint has been helpful to you, and I hope that you have a wonderful time in your field experiences. Please be sure to check out how to do the CAN check and your background checks in other videos.